We're back. After a visit to the cat and dog shelters, it looks like Darren has found his way to a clinic in Sayang Pun to get a veterinarian's perspective on all of this.
So, Joe, how long have you been a vet in Hong Kong?
It's been about 13 years now.
Wow, 13 years, that's quite a long time. So has the pet industry or the ownership situation changed a lot in Hong Kong in these 13 years?
I mean, definitely they've started a lot more referral level clinics, so what you can do for your pets has just increased phenomenally here.
Yeah, it's turned into a big business, isn't it?
Yeah.
Has it been like a massive influx of pets from different places?
I mean, not so much more, although you do get some of the stranger, more exotic breeds coming in. A lot of people do want pedigrees because they are recognisable.
Yeah, and I suppose, you know, with more pets and more pet owners, it leads to more abandonments as well, I suppose. And that's why you guys have started this collaboration with the shelter, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of worked with the shelters right from the beginning, from the early days of the clinic.
Yeah.
But yeah, recently there's been a real surge in animals who've needed some help.
Yeah, yeah. Well, why is that?
Well, there's been more people, unfortunately, leaving Hong Kong, and it's got very expensive to take their pets with them. So that, and unfortunately, some pets aren't healthy enough to travel either. So there have been more cases of abandonment recently.
I see.
And then we've always had problems with breeders, unfortunately, using animals for profit, but not really know what they're doing welfare-wise.
Let's talk about a bit more with your collaboration with the shelter. What do you guys do for them, and why do they need you guys' help?
Well, we do quite a few things. For example, recently a lot of dogs were found on the rooftop, so we went over to their facilities, examined all of the dogs, gave them vaccinations or followed up any diagnostics that we needed to do if we were a bit suspicious. And then we kind of worked with the foster parents as well.
You've been a vet in Hong Kong, but where else have you been a vet?
I worked for 3.5 years or so around London or in the southeast of England for a while.
All right, so how does that differ, the whole scene?
There's always a difference between like the city and the towns.
Right.
Generally in the city people will have kind of smaller dogs, and there'll be very much more sort of a baby in the family.
Yeah.
Whereas in the town they might be like a working dog or a farm, so it's kind of a different relationship they have. And also there's a very different kind of culture with breeding. And unfortunately, I mean in Hong Kong with cost of living, rent being so high, and pedigree breeds being very popular, selling for sometimes tens of thousands, people think, well, that's an easy business to get into. I'll buy myself a female dog and a male dog. We'll have a few litters. They'll maybe have like 4 or 5 pups each go, and it will be 10,000, maybe 15,000.
Monetary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, very often, well, you kind of get the amateurs who just have nice hearts, but they don't know what they're doing. But also you get the kind of people who just run a kind of puppy mill where they just churn these puppies out. And I met a detective at one point who'd been on these kind of raids, and they were saying they just kept in absolute squalor. And you see these kind of breeding dogs come in and they're covered in urine, their hair's all matted. A lot of them look like skin and bones. Yeah. And they've obviously just been used multiple times to churn out as many puppies as cheaply as possible, and you see these little kind of 5 or 6 year old dogs, and they have the bodies of like 12-year-olds or 14-year-old dogs. Yeah, it's really taken its toll on them.
I mean, over so many years, you've sort of helped so many animals. Does it still break your heart a little bit when like a bad one comes in, or have you sort of become desensitized to it a little bit?
It's a bit of a mixture. I mean, there are still some that do break my heart. I've seen a few Scottish fold cats who adorable looking cats. They've got curvy ears, and that's related unfortunately to a cartilage defect. So you get a lot of breeders who will try to breed 2 Scottish fold cats together, and the resulting kittens all have terrible joint disease, and 1 or 2 of them come in and they can't walk and they're babies, and it's extremely sad and very avoidable as well.
Heartbreaking stories, but also heartwarming efforts. To fully understand the ecosystem of Hong Kong's pet shelters, it only makes sense to know what it's like to foster and adopt these furry friends.
So I've noticed that you quite like cats.
Yes, I adore them. I've had them my whole life.
And you have adopted and fostered cats for how many years?
I think it's about 4 years now that I've been working with LAP.
And so these 4 years, have you found the perfect cat? I guess not.
Actually, I have, and she's just run away.
Yeah.
Her name when she came to us was Tiara, and we fostered her for about 11 months before she recovered, because she's an ex-breeder cat, so she came with a lot of stomach issues, and she only weighed 1.5 kilos. She was very thin. She had multiple surgeries to fix issues in her body. And then finally, once she was healthy, I realized I couldn't let her go. So I adopted her.
Oh, that's great. So for those who are not as familiar with fostering, I mean, what is fostering? Why is it important in the whole sort of ecosystem?
So fostering is essentially caring for an animal who otherwise would be sat in a shelter with a charity. So obviously at a shelter they have limited space, so cats or dogs are normally kept in smaller cages.
Yep.
Not everyone has the luxury of space. And also, you've got issues where if you have a cat that's sick and it's a transmissible disease, it can spread to other cats. So in this sense, fostering is all about looking after a cat or a dog in your home.
Right. So what kind of requirements do you need to be a foster parent?
Every foster parent needs to have a lot of love.
Yeah.
And I'd say also...
They need to like cats.
Yes, of course. You also need to have time. It depends on the animal you get, but obviously to be able to foster, you need a home visit to make sure your home is suitable. Things like window locks or window netting are very, very, very important, because obviously a lot of us live in high rises.
Yep.
And we've had instances where cats have fallen out of windows. It's very tragic.
I also want to talk about the emotional side of fostering, because you only look after them for a while, and then you have to let them go. How is that? Is that difficult? Do they break your heart?
Definitely, your heart does get broken, but it's also filled with so much love. Chicken is a perfect example, my own cat, now known as Chicken. She came to us, she was so broken, she would just lie there, and she was miserable. And when she went through surgery, we were so afraid. But now she's recovered fully, and she's such a people cat. She loves people so much that I don't think I could have done anything differently in terms of wanting to adopt her. So in the end, she made me really, really happy.
Do you think we need more foster parents in Hong Kong?
We always need more help. We always need more people. We need more hearts open to looking after all kinds of animals. So definitely, yes, if you can foster, if you can spare a little bit of your time, a little bit of your resources, then please do. It's not just fostering cats that are sick or ex-breeder cats, which are very common in Hong Kong. You do get healthy cats that need homes as well. I'm currently fostering a healthy mama cat who's given birth in my house and has 4 very healthy kittens now that should find really good homes.
Oh, that's lovely. What can people expect when they're fostering versus adopting?
Well, when you're fostering, you normally get a cat that has needs, such as behavioral issues or physical issues. Take ex-breeder cats, for example. They come in with a lot of issues because they've been used as breeder cats to have kittens over and over again. So I think the difference between fostering and adopting is with fostering, you have a very wide range of the type of cat you're going to get. Whereas with adoption, you usually get a healthy cat that's ready to go to a new home.
Yeah, it's sort of a step, isn't it? You got to go fostering and then adoption. Is that how it works?
Yep, that's right. That's exactly how it works.
And I suppose, do you require more patience because you need to, and know-how? Because you need to know how to feed the meds and things like that. Does that come into it?
Yes, of course. A lot of cats that come into foster homes need medication or training, litter training, behavioral training. So it is a step towards adoption. Not all cats get to that step, but we try our best to make that happen.
Right now, these abandoned animals are relying heavily on the selfless individuals who put in the hours through volunteer work. They put in the dedication in fostering and adopting. Whilst that's very admirable, they do need more help. either from a governmental level or from a more foundational level, like you or me. Take me, for example. I met my dog Max at a shelter, and I remember the first few times that I met him, I couldn't touch him, I couldn't feed him, I couldn't even look at him, because he would just bark at me relentlessly out of fear. But now, he's part of the family. Every morning, he jumps on the bed and wakes me up, and when I come home from work, he'll roll on the floor and demand a belly rub. I mean, yes, it does take time and it does take patience to look after him properly, but the whole journey has been so rewarding, seeing him from being this fearful dog into this vibrant creature that he is now. I mean, we really can't imagine our lives without him anymore. So when you look at the system this way, it really is quite beautiful. We get to take a stray dog off the street and we get a loving new family member. It really is a win-win.